we can give is the gift of being present for one another. I was going to say on behalf of Mark and Gar and Connie's family, thank you for your presence here today. But as I look around, I realize that we all are family. We're all family because we all love Connie. So what a great opportunity it is to be together to celebrate and honor her life. And Mark and Gar wanted me to make sure I thanked all of you who have brought gifts of music and reading and food and setup and logistics and hospitality and all the ways that you touched their mother's life. So from Mark and Gar, thank you. We are graced by such amazing music. Thank you, Ronnie and Mary. Would you give us peace?
This is the Canticle of the Sun by St. Francis. Most high, omnipotent, good Lord, praise, glory, and honor and benediction all are thine. To thee alone do they belong, Most High, and there is no man fit to mention thee. Praise be to thee, my Lord, with all thy creatures, especially to thy worshipful brother Sun, which lights up the day, and through him and beautiful is he, and radiant with splendor great, of thee most high signification gives. Praised be my Lord for sister moon, and for the stars. In heaven thou hast formed them clear, and precious, and fair. Praised be my Lord for brother wind, and for the air, and clouds, and fair and every kind of weather, by which thou givest to thy creatures nourishment. Praised be my Lord for sister water, which is greatly helpful, and humbles, and precious, and pure. Praised be my Lord for brother fire, by which thou lightest up the dark, and fair is he, and gay, and mighty, and strong. Praised be my Lord for our sister, Mother Earth, which sustains and keeps us, and brings forth diverse fruits with grass and flowers bright. Praised be my Lord for those who for thy love forgive, and weakness bear, and tribulation. Blessed those who shall in peace endure, for by thee most high shall they be crowned. Praised be my Lord for our sister, the bodily death, from which no living man can flee. Woe to them who die in mortal sin. Blessed those who shall find themselves in thy most holy will, for the second death shall do them no ill. Praise ye and bless ye my Lord, and give him thanks, and be subject unto him with great humility.
Corinthians 13. If I speak in the tongues of humans or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship, that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love.
With a name like Constance Clare McGuire, there's no mistaking an Irish heritage. Connie's grandmother, I have learned, was a mail-order bride back in the 1880s when gold-rich California had a shortage of women. She answered a letter from an Irish gold miner working in Yuba, came to California by steamship around the Horn. Celtic Christianity is an ancient tradition, and one of my most favorite concepts of the Celtic theology is a concept known as thin places. Heaven and earth, the Celtic saying goes, are only 3 feet apart, but in thin places, that distance is even shorter. To the Celts, a thin place might be a tranquil pool in the highlands, a mountain where you have a sense of the sacred, or a river that you know the rapids by heart. In the Celtic tradition, such places that give us an opening into the magnificent wonder of that presence are called thin places. Thin places relax us, but they also transform us. They unmask us. In thin places, we become our most essential self. I think this hour is one of those thin places. A time when the space between heaven and earth is somehow smaller. We were with Connie just moments ago, and now she is in that forever place of heaven. And just 2 years ago, we were here, celebrating her 90th birthday. And now we're celebrating her life. For some of you, it must seem like yesterday that Connie lived just over on Broadway, around the corner on Santa Ynez. This thin place today reminds us that today is not the end of the story. Connie is embraced by God and cared for by God in ways we no longer can. But we have our Irish marching orders, you and I. This is a celebration of Connie's life. She would have it no other way. And so with thankful hearts, we celebrate and honor her life in this thin place. Constance Claire McGuire was born in Sacramento, California. Her parents, John and Claire Fischer. John was a police officer. A chief once said that he was the most honest cop we have on the beat. Connie's mom was the caretaker for her family, taking care of family falling on those hard Depression years, elderly grandparents. Her brother Jack was the eldest, then Connie, then Pat, and then Barbara. The family moved to different houses in Sacramento till they landed on the then suburbs of Santa Ynez Way, just down the street from Connie's Aunt May and Uncle Milton on San Miguel, a home which became the center for the Stanislaus River campaign. Their family was close. Connie and her cousin Betty remembered playing cards on the floor of Aunt Belle's and Uncle Jack's home in Grass Valley. And summers were spent swimming in Memorial Park. Connie was an amazing athlete, especially a tennis player. And every day of the summer, when she was here in Sacramento, she was playing tennis right here on the courts in McKinley Park. Betty remembered how Connie would play tennis and her mom would bring her lunch every day, walking over from Santa Ynez. And when Betty moved to San Francisco, Connie would of course go visit. The girls would nail a board to a roller skate and take it to the top of those hills in San Francisco and ride that board on the skate down the hill. They should have patented skateboarding. But Galen and Tev, you should be proud that your grandmother invented skateboarding. And those of us who know Gar and Mark should never wonder where they got their courage to try any rapid, climb any tree, or climb any mountain. During the war, Sacramento had a contest for Victory Bond Queen. For every bond you would buy, you could cast one vote for a queen. Connie was crowned Victory Queen of Sacramento. She was always a beautiful woman. After she graduated from Sac High, she went to City College where she excelled in shorthand, which she evidently loved because she could write in her diary and her brother Jack couldn't read it. Following City College, she immediately got a job at the main branch of Bank of America, then on 8th and J. She was the first woman teller and won over all those customers because of her gracious smile. Everyone loved Connie. Well, the story goes that Connie was visiting her cousin Barbara in Sacramento and ran to the market on 30th and J for some soap for her cousin's birthday party and met the dashing Noel Dubois. Ethel Linfield ran the bakery. I know Ethel's son is here today. She was too shy to say anything, but ran home and told her cousin that she met the man she was going to marry. They were married in 1946 and settled in Sacramento, of course, in Plain Haven near McAllen Air Force Base, where she got a job as secretary for the Joint Chiefs at McClellan. And then in 1955, Connie and Noel bought the home on Broadway. It was to be Connie's home for more than 59 years. It was the home where Connie brought home the two absolute greatest joy in her life, Mark Andre, and a year and a half later, Gar John. And it was the home that Connie would open the door for all of Gar and Mark's friends, as well as all of their friends, and as well as all of the friends of their friends. Connie made sure there were fun things to do at the home. There was a ping pong table that I'm sure many of you remember on the back patio. She was a very skilled player. Gar played football and there were always games in the backyard. It didn't matter to Connie that they tore up the lawn. And she would also bake her famous cakes endlessly. There was never a moment when there wasn't a cake available, which probably explains a lot about Mark's love of chocolate. And the Broadway home might as well have been an embassy. Mark and Gar were both presidents of the high school AFS chapter, and their home became the center for the international students. Herbert from Germany, Pedro from Colombia, Fabian from France, Elena from Italy, all called Connie their American mom. And then there were the others that Connie welcomed, Tom and Kim's family from Vietnam and the sea of friends Connie would meet traveling to Europe who would come visit. The exchange students ignited a love of the world, the travel love, as Connie called it, as well as a love of languages. Connie taught herself French and Spanish and German and Italian. She was mom to the world. Her career with the state began with the Department of Mental Health, where she retired as executive secretary, the lead secretary for the local programs for mental health. She directed 30 women, and she was a beloved friend and mentor. Doris shared that Connie's professional work ethic and etiquette were an inspiration to all the women who worked for her. The environment that she created was so positive that the women loved to go to work. Connie made it fun, and she was always bringing in food, of course. They used to call her the Flasher because Connie always had a camera with her. And last Friday night, Doris, Marianne, and Tony found a photo that Connie had written on the back, "The daughters I always wished I had." When she retired in 1983, there was a huge celebration, and the women have met every year for the last 40 years. After her marriage ended, Connie met widower Joe Rapier. And when Connie broke her arm and Joe took care of her, she found love. They painted together, gardened, and worked on the Broadway home. They were a team. Maybe the greatest gift in Connie's life was her grandsons, Tevin Andre Dubois and Galen Paul Dubois.
For those of you who visited her in the hospital, she was always talking about her scholar grandsons. Galen remembers visiting his grandmother when he was quite small, he was 6, and running laps around the Broadway home, which was chock full of china and paintings and antiques and treasures from all her travel. And here was Grandma cheering him on, encouraging him to go faster. Do it again, run faster. And Galen would go screaming around the treasures and the antiques once more. In a notebook that she wrote to her grandsons, Connie quoted the Gospel of Matthew saying, "Whatever you've done for the least of these, you've done for me." This means everyone, Connie wrote. God is including everyone on earth, the impoverished, the homeless, every business person, every known person on earth, and there are no exceptions. That's how she lived the gospel. I've come to believe that in addition to thin places on earth, that there are thin people who live their lives as a bridge between heaven and earth. People who love unconditionally, who give wholeheartedly, who care deeply, creating a thin place. The Greeks had a word for it, enthos, God within. It's where we get our English word enthusiasm, God within. Thank God for the loving enthusiasm of Connie, for her generosity and her smile, for her care and love for so many. Thank God for the life of Connie Claire McGuire Fischer Dubois Rapier. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God.
She's prepared, and anyone who knows me know how well organized I am. So this morning I was still trying to figure out what am I going to say, so I started reading some of the letters that came to Mom. And I was just weeping all morning, so I still haven't figured out at all what I'm going to say, but I want to share some of the words that have come through from others. You know, one of the other things that keeps coming to me is that old song, "We don't know what we got till it's gone." And there's some part of me that's like, we don't know how much I don't appreciate it. So, yeah, we're lucky. We have, this great mom, and she did all these great things, and and being with her those last 9 days, and having people call from around the world, or having people send emails that I could read to, and I just kept getting struck by the depth of the love she passed on, the depth of the love that was so contagious. So, I feel like what I want to do is share a couple of their readings, and then maybe have some of you share a few things, and then I'll share a few more from what others have said. Because as I try to figure out how do you capture who she is, and she was, on one level, even these last years, as she couldn't remember what happened 30 seconds ago, she was 110% in the present. So initially it annoyed me. No, we've already ordered lunch. No, we've already, and then eventually, we've been interested in Buddhism, so be in the present. So if it's new for her, it can be new for me. So she became a good teacher. But I saw that being 110% in the present is what I realized she lived her whole life that way. And with everyone she was with them 110%. So this first piece is from Jan Siguru from Sweden. And she wrote this the day after Mama passed. Connie is the most loving and caring person I have met in my life. And I'm so happy to have spent so many precious moments with her in California and in Sweden. I wish we had lived much closer. At 17, she opened her home and welcomed me as a friend and a mom. She offered a base of security during my stay in Sacramento as an exchange student. She understood that I, during a period of experienced hard times, and she was always there for me, as were Mark, Gar, and Noah. I think of Connie as a beautiful, blossoming garden. She was so smart, brave, and wise. She loved to discuss political issues as well as personal relationships. She loved to cook, entertain, and to take care of her own garden. She had a stamina and humor which filled the room and attracted people like honey for the bees. She was unique. While writing this, I feel very sad that Connie is no longer with us. But I am also very happy to have met her in my heart with so many feelings, and in my mind will always stay with me. I am so happy that she had a peaceful passing and that her loving sons, family, and so many friends were able to be with her to the very last. Connie was truthful to herself and to others, and I will always feel respect, admiration, and love for her. I am so grateful to have been her friend and that my family has had a chance to meet her. My sympathies are with all of you. For Yad from Sweden. My brother and I noted that one of her laments is that she had two sons, which we were always out, doing whatever we did, and she always sort of, I wish we had one more girl. So she always wanted to go, and then we looked at each other and we go, oh well, she had so many extra daughters that anyway. So this is from Sam Horn, who was my brother's first girlfriend, and so I'm going to just try to read parts of what she captured. This is what she wrote to my mom, and at her 90th, when again her memory was short, I would keep reading this letter to her because it kept reminding who she had been to so many people, but it came from Sam's words. So Gar brought me home for dinner. I still have that memory of fresh tomatoes we had from her backyard garden and the fresh flowers on the table. What I remember even more is your warmth and your gracious way. You welcomed me into your home and to your family. At that very impressionable time, those high school years, you always were caring, encouraging, and supportive. It is a rare and wonderful thing to feel seen and heard, and that's how I always felt around you. You influenced me in so many ways. Your love of quotes, your habits of writing things down, saving observations, carrying out things from Reader's Digest, and storing them all. I do those same things today. People often tell me that, and she's written books and traveled all around the world speaking, Sam has. People will often tell me how much they appreciate my quotes when I feature and my penchant for distilling wisdom into a few lines. I learned that from you, Connie. Another way you influence me is by making your home a home away from home for all of Gar and Mark's friends. And she again talked about, she learned from my mom, and so for her boys, everyone came. The ping pong tables, the pools, everyone came to her house because she learned from Mama that you made, so instead of worrying where her boys were, the community came, we were in the center of the community. I tell my sons that I grew up before Title IX, before girls had scholarships to college for sports, And before it was even norm for girls to be athletes and play soccer and other sports right along with guys from an early age. You were a model of vigor and health, athletic women who played tennis and golf and walked, enjoyed the yard in the summertime. You were before your time in many ways, and this is yet another example of the outstanding role model you have been for me and so many others. I remember our trips to Trinity, how much you delighted in the hikes along the river, exploring the trails. You were in your element there, and an example of someone who truly enjoys and appreciates Mother Nature. Of all your many qualities, perhaps the most impressive is your love of life, your intellectual curiosity, and the gratitude for the big, wide world we live in. How like you to travel in your 60s and 70s and go walk and explore and discover the highlights of what's around the world and what's around the next corner. Your independence and eagerness to go by yourself and to make friends all along the way was another demonstration of your robust zeal for life. One of my favorite quotes is that teachers affect eternity. Who knows where their influence will end? Connie, you are a teacher to many of us, to your sons, to your many young friends who you made your house a home base for growing up, to the many friends and family that you've met all along the way. And there's a few dots in here. And that, Connie McGuire Dubois Rapier, is who you are and who you are for so many. You are a walking, talking example of someone who has created your own serene destiny and helped facilitate it for so many others. You have created a life of meaning, a life of purpose. A light is most definitely in your eyes, and you are proof that we can take responsibility for creating the life that feels right. Sending my love and appreciation to you on your 90th birthday. So I have a couple more to read, but what I sense is it might be fun, instead of me talking, it'd be fun if a few of you want to share a short story or a short memory. It would be lovely to hear your offering. So how about if you want to do that, why don't you come on up over here and stand in line so we'll know how many of us are interested. Anybody? And nobody has to. So Jan was probably Mom's first daughter. She was 5 or 6 years younger than my brother and I. Their parents were my parents' dearest friends, and so Janny was the little sister my brother and I got to meet up on, and we went camping many times together. She's got an amazing memory for all the things we did along the way.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay now?
Yep.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jan Caparero. This is my son Jeremy. This is my son Jim. My parents were Jim and Dorothy White. They were great friends of Connie and Will for many years. And our families were intertwined forever. I grew up with Mark and Gar, and little did I know they would end up being brothers to me. Connie treated me as if I were her own daughter, and truly she was like my second mom, my aunt,
godmother and my best friend. All in one, As Mark put it to me a few months ago, I was probably her first daughter of many daughters. Yes, she had many other daughters and sons as well, all over the world. I could probably stand up here and talk for many days and share hundreds of memories of Connie that have been forever imprinted in my heart. I have carried these warm and beautiful memories with me throughout my life. I fully believe in my heart that Connie must have been around when unconditional love was invented. Everyone here would probably fully agree with this. My dad, Jim, Mark and McGuire's dad, Noel, met years ago when they both worked together. They introduced their wives and the rest is history. There were literally hundreds of parties, family camping trips, barbecues, and many holidays that were shared together with our families. Having Connie in my life definitely made my life full. I had the sweet honor of spending time with Connie for a couple of days prior to her leaving us on February 25th. During these days, these precious hours, I had time to be alone with her. And believe in my heart, she passed on this message to me, and I wish to share it with you. This is my sweet, sweet Connie's message. Always be kind, loving, and always share your wisdom with others as you journey on your life's path. I shared one particular memory that came to mind the other night with Garth. I'd like to share it with you. Many years ago, our families were on a camping trip, and there were several other families that went with us up at Lake Tahoe. The men had all gone off to go fish, so the ladies and me, I was probably all about 4 or 5 years old, went on a hike. We were walking on this trail, and just being a little girl, I remember how menacing and steep and scary this path seemed to be. I froze out of sheer fear. I was certain I was going to get hurt, and no one could convince me that it was any other way. I was going to fall. My sweet Connie reached down, and she picked me up, carried me down this little path to show me it was not scary at all. When we walked back on this trail, she held my hand and showed me that it was indeed safe. With Connie, I always felt safe. And as she did to me on that day so many years ago, she probably has carried many of the folks here in ways she will never know. She had a way of carrying people with her unconditional love, her kindness and her wisdom. She was definitely a role model people could look up to. I have the Thank you. There's, back on the table, there's some little packets of seeds, the wildflower seeds. Please pick some up and plant them wherever your heart desires in memory of this beautiful woman, our sweet, sweet Connie. Thank you.
When Jenny comes up,
I am Jennifer Jennings, and lucky to be her husband, Michael. I simply can't put into words what Connie meant to me during the last 40 years. I I met Connie shortly after I met Mark when I started volunteering in the Friends of the River office during the 1974 Prop 17 campaign to save the Stanislaus River. I thought Mark was the most intense person I ever met. Then I met Connie. Mark became the second most intense person I ever met. I was instantly taken by her smile and her immediate acceptance of all of Mark and Gar's friends. Frankly, I had never met a mother like Connie. Her long blonde hair was perfectly styled and she wore bright, fashionable clothes. I was so touched that in Connie's last days, when she was in a coma, a kind staff member at the Carlton put some bright red lipstick on her, knowing that that would make her feel better. Connie was a counselor and cook for a ragtag bunch of young people determined to save rivers. During the campaigns, her house on Broadway was where river trip gear was loaded and unloaded, and where many a night there were river rats sleeping in her beautiful backyard. Connie was working at the time, but it did not matter what time of night the old truck pulled up into the driveway. Her first comment would be, you must be hungry. I will get you something to eat." Nothing seemed to faze her or diminish her good cheer. Everyone was accepted instantly, their picture taken, and it was posted on the bulletin board. She was the biggest cheerleader of her son's efforts to change the world, and she loved everyone who was part of the effort. Connie exuded integrity and compassion. In group settings throughout her life, she would zero in on the person who seemed shy or disconnected from the group and try her darndest to bring them in. I don't recall anyone who was able to resist her entreaties. In her early years at the Carlton, when her memory was good, Connie would never let on that another Carlton resident was telling us the same story over and over again. I would see Connie react with enthusiasm to the repeated story as if she were hearing it for the very first time. Such manners and graciousness. She was so patient with those who needed patience. Connie had a knack for adopting a wide range of people. Those I know of include river people, tenants, friends, exchange students, and an entire multi-generational family from Vietnam. I felt so blessed to have had that connection with Connie. She was always ready to listen and offer advice and love. She had a way of making you feel so special. I only hope that I managed to make her feel the same. Until the last years of her life, Connie thought the very best of everyone. Once I was following her on the freeway. She was in her car and I was in mine. It was a truly frightening experience. She was driving maybe 25 miles per hour. A lot of drivers honked at us. When we arrived at our destination, I asked if she had heard the honking drivers. She said she had heard the horns and that she was sorry she had not been able to wave to all the friendly drivers. I so admired the way Connie lived her life. When she decided she wanted to see Europe, she did it. It did not matter that at that time unaccompanied women did not do things like that. She did not like doctors, so she avoided them. She loved her sons and their families more than anything else, but she never begrudged their choice to live far away. Rather than complaining about living in an assisted living facility at the Carlton here in Sacramento, she was constantly saying how lucky she was to be surrounded by such nice people and how great the staff was. Connie never mentioned the aches and pains of old age, although I am sure she experienced them. I have long dreaded the day that I would be at Connie's memorial service, although there were times when I thought she would outlast me. Connie had a beautiful death. She heard from her family, her beloved cousin Betty, and many friends. But she was ready to go. I truly think she would want us to celebrate her life rather than mourn her death. So that is what I will strive to do today and for the rest of my life. Connie will always be part of our lives.
Anyone else? I'll give you 1 minute to think about it. from Elena. Elena was an Italian young woman who stayed with Mom for 6 months. One of her Sacramento neighbors who had Italian friends said, "Oh, we've got this gal who wants to come," but none of them wanted to take care of anyone. So Mom took care of Elena, and Elena wrote this beautiful letter. The first day I got a note out about Mom's coma, and I could tell Mom just listened. And one line from her letter is, "Dear Connie, I'd like to give you the biggest hug and love ever, like the ones I learned from you, like the ones that every morning you gave me before I went off to work, the one that I now try to give my children every time I get a chance." My children are 6 and 9. So. Anyone want to share something? Tell me. This is her short grandson. We made her wait a while to do that.
Some of my earliest memories are with my grandmother. Before we moved up to Seattle, and we were very close as a kid.
Closer. Get the mic
Closer. More often than not, I would sit on her couch with her and she would tell me incredibly elaborate stories. I was too young to remember them, but I remember them incredibly elaborate. And she would improv them on the spot. And usually we would be sitting on the couch next to the window of the 7-10, and she would slowly run off to sleep and kind of elbow her every couple of minutes. And she'd wake back up and start where she left off. And my other memories are being pushed in a stroller through the park and her pointing to squirrels and various other things that children find fascinating. And then, of course, later on, after we moved up and coming back down every year, an abundance of food always. I'm sure surprises everyone. And so when I think of my grandmother, I think of play, whether it be playing ping pong or her helping me dig a tunnel to China in her backyard, which I was convinced I could do, and she never tried to convince me otherwise. And curiosity and humor and generosity, and these these are all qualities that I hope I can engage with. I'm thankful to have her as a model. And then, of course, my other earliest memories are a lot of you that are here. And I know she had a big part in sort of holding this community together. And I'm very fortunate to have grown up. So I'm thankful for that. Also,
anyone else? I know there's a table with all of our state workers who worked with us for many years, and everyone I've talked to is looking at her photos. We had a night of sorting through at least a pile of 5 or 6 feet high of photos, and it was just amazing to see how many circles of friends she had, many that none of us even knew, so we're still trying to bring our families together. Colleen, you want to? Huh?
My sisters and I went to high school with Mark and Gary, and actually my older sister got to know Mark at junior high, But Connie and Noel, everything everybody has said, we all know is the total truth. But in high school, most of us tend to be probably a bigger pain in the butt than we realize we are. And Connie was always so welcoming. Even, it didn't matter what time it was or day of the week it was or whatever you were in the middle of, she was just amazing. And Noel sometimes, I always felt like he would look at us like, aren't these people going home? But Connie, always was just so incredibly gracious and shared everything with the rest of us. And I just, when we were talking right before she passed away, and the fact that I remember everything from the kitchen on Broadway, and just picturing that and everything in the backyard and the driveway, and oh my God, the years we built floats, and she couldn't even use her garage, I mean, she couldn't even get in there. And some of the stuff that she put up with, and then on top of it, was always so kind. I mean, as a parent, I didn't come close, because she was just so giving and so encouraging, and that laugh, you do something and you just crack up, and that smile, it just, it's never going to leave you, because you think of her and that's what you remember. And Susie was talking, my sister was talking earlier, and the fact that in high school, the AFS meetings, we have a meeting, and then we end up at their house. So there were evenings when we were there for, 3 hours or whatever, until we should have been home. And then as Susie pointed out earlier, we were told by parents now, when they got motorcycles, don't go on those motorcycles. And we said, oh, we're going over to the block. You're not going there again. Okay, we're not. And then we go there. And, the things that we would do and not realize that most of the time, my parents knew what we were doing because Connie was telling them. Connie, it was like, which I didn't know until I was probably 30, when she told me that a lot of the stuff we thought we were getting away with, their mom was like right on top of it, but was kind enough to let us believe that we were, living this wild life and our parents didn't know, So I have such wonderful memories, and I'm so grateful to Connie and to Noel for sharing their home and just being the people that they were. And I didn't realize I worked at Camp Sacramento and came home one summer, and Connie was telling me, oh, you met my cousins. Oh my God, they're related to like most of Sacramento, which I didn't realize. And of course, then we were looking at, hi kids, then we were looking at her yearbooks, and it was like a whole different world that she just shared. So we're lucky. There's some people you meet in your life, and you're really, really lucky to have met them. And that's Connie. Thank you.
I see somebody really dying to say something. I'll read one last night. So, actually, I'm going to tell one. The first day I sent out an email saying she was in a coma, we got a call from France. And Celeste said, and so she spoke to Mom, and then she said, oh, and I'm going to be arriving in Sacramento on Monday. So I said, well, we don't know, but, it was, so Celeste came. My mom died Tuesday night at 2 a.m. in the morning. So Celeste was one of the last to be with her. And Celeste was telling me that when Mom visited, her last trip was in 2000. She stayed with Yad in Sweden, and she stayed with Fabienne, who I'll read, and then I forgot who else she stayed with. Oh, she went to an Italian, was your father's birthday party, right? So she went, that was her timing of her trip. And now I forgot where I started. Oh, she's contagious. So Celeste was saying that when she visited me, she had a newborn and a very young child, and so she said that Mom picked up her daughter, and she was filming my mom, and so she was holding this young child, maybe 4 years old, and she said, "No, you dance like this, you love like this." And Celeste had a father who had done this and a mother, and I could just tell she hadn't. So she walked everywhere in America and Europe with my mom. She again was one of these other daughters for her. So again, this is one of the last letters I got. This came from Fabienne. And I will say that what I find in a number of these letters, they all couldn't figure out how to say if she was their sister, their mother, their grandmother, or their best friend, but it was sort of an amalgam of all of that. So Fabienne wrote, he was, "Dear Mark, I read yesterday your email about the death of Connie. I am devastated by her death. She was like a grandmother and my best friend. The life," and the French, her English is a little bit, so if it sounds awkward, it is. "The life she gave me, life gave me the wonderful gift to allow me to meet Connie. Her love was so generous and so deep that it was a beautiful gift to enjoy. Connie had always been very present in my life. I began so many letters but never ended them because it was like cutting off a big conversation." She was good at procrastinating, so never. And Mom had a dozen letters to Fabienne that she never finished, so they had in common not finishing letters. "Your mother is very present in my family life. My children know the banana cake of Connie, the vegetable pasta of Connie, and the fun stories about when she was young. It's the stories that I keep for the sad days. Even if you're sad, you cannot help but laugh. She was the most happy person I have ever met. This week I told my children, for the winter holidays I will make a beautiful picture of you and send it to Connie. I have promised her to do so many times. It is such an error to take for granted that a person you love will live for many more years. One of the lessons she taught me, always smile at everyone. It can help a person to have a better day. I was 20 years old when I met Connie, just the beginning of adulthood. Her generosity, love for everyone, her optimism was her beautiful lesson for me. It helped me be a better person with others. One of my deepest regrets is that I lived so far from her. Each year I hope that I could travel to see her one more time. I am so sad that that will never be possible. She had the beautiful power to change the persons all around her. By her side, people wanted to be better people. There's another lesson she taught me. Live your life like it's the last one. It is probably why she had such amazing energy to do everything. When you love a person, it's always too soon when they die. I'm going to miss her very much, but I will continue my conversations with her because she's alive within me. Amen. And I guess my last thought, it's been interesting. I remember people telling me, what it's like to have a child. I said, oh yeah, sure. Then he comes along and oh, your life is different. People have also tried to tell me what it's like to miss a parent. I go, yeah. And it's been an interesting journey these last short while to again, God and I have talked about there's this umbilical cord that's still there all the time, and now that's fading, and so it's interesting to feel that. But what I'll say is that as I watch my waves of sadness come through, whether it's the letters or the photos, I look at this trail of love and beauty and joy that she spread everywhere she went, and I know that those seeds are going to keep growing and growing and growing. So,
as she sets up, I would say that Teresa came in twice while Mom was in a coma. And I just remember one day I'm looking at her cousin Betty. She's young, she was only born in 25. And she's stroking my mom's hair, and I'm rubbing my mom's feet, and Marianne's beginning to sort the mountains of photos, and Teresa was playing harp. And I was melting into, we're going to go. So anyway, her amazing music was a gift to my mom's final days.
Connie, may the road rise to meet you. May the wind always meet you back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rain fall soft upon your fields. Until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
Just as Jan said, there's bags of wildflower seeds also in the binoculars. Please take them home if you feel like it to plant one. I think what what's really struck me as her son is in the final days of her life to see this honor guard of people that love her show up, and to see the depth and the breadth of the trail of love that she left wherever she walked. If we had tails, you'd see a wagging tail wherever she left behind. So thank you all for coming. See, a legacy of love.
So again, the ranunculus on the table they're perennial, so they should keep blooming. They are in the backyard. And again, Jen, are your seeds on the? Okay. And there's food out. We've got the hall until 4:30 when we get to clean up. And also for anybody who does want to continue, I know a lot of people drove a long ways. Cat corner to the park. On 8th Street, there's a little Chinese place, and they've got a little back room that we celebrate my dad's birthdays in. So at 5:30, we're going to move over there for anybody who wants to just continue to tell stories and otherwise. What, check?
It's changed to 5:15.
5:15 over at the, I think it's Hunan Garden, but it's literally, if you were at the corner of the park and went across the catty corner, it would be there. So, and again, just...
It's Shanghai Garden.
Shanghai Garden. Okay, don't go to that version. Again, it is so moving to know how many of you came from so far, and Mama's family was everyone she was in touch with. And there's so many family I haven't seen for a long while. There is a Fisher table, so I hope people have seen all the Fisher photos and signed up. Marianne has helped get the family tree for many of the Fishers, and hope you'll get to meet some of Mama's other circles as well. Thank you, Fisher. Excuse me, Mary is doing one last flute to